Hi students. In the last class we have learned about Sudhamurthi's grandfather and how he helped the villagers to put down their worries and get mental relief. No doubt, he is a living or human Horegallu. Okay, right, let me make it clear. Here, a Horegallu or a stone bench carries the weights of people. In a similar way, grandfather carries the burden of the travelers just by listening to their worries. So, he can be called a human Horegallu. Well, now we are moving on to read right from the paragraph number 4 and we will be back. Later on in life, I got to see something that reminded me of that stone bench once again. I was working in Bombay. One of my colleagues, Ratna, was a senior clerk, middle-aged and always smiling. She had done her graduation and been working in the company for nearly 25 years. She went about her repetitive, mundane work with an infectious cheerfulness. Every day during the lunch hour, she would sit with some person in one of the rooms and they would have long chats. I would often wonder what they talked about. One day I finally asked her, "Ratna, what do you talk with each person for the whole lunch hour?" Ratna smiled and said simply, "They share their troubles with me." But how can you solve the troubles of so many people? Do you always have an answer for them? No, I only listen. And that's enough? That solves the problem? I was young and incredulous at such a simplistic outlook. But Ratna answered with the same patience and affection that she must have used with all my colleagues. I'm not a trained counselor or an intellectual. No one can solve your problem. You have to do it yourself. Here, Sudhamurthi found another human Horegallu later in her life. Her name was Ratna. She was a colleague of the author Sudhamurthi. Remember, there in the company, Ratna did exactly the same duty that grandfather once did in the village. Then, what was her job? Yes, she was a senior clerk in the office. She was in her 50s. Besides, she always wore a smile on her face. And how long had she been there in the company? Right, for almost 25 years after her graduation. And talking about her job, it was quite repetitive and mundane, but she continued the same duty with an infectious cheerfulness. Anyway, here you have a couple of new words to learn. Now, let's take a look at what do they mean. Firstly, the word repetitive. The work was repetitive in the sense that she had to do the work several times. Next is the word mundane. It means dull or boring. Say for example, initially the work was difficult and mundane, but later it was quite interesting. Got the meaning clear? And there is one more expression to be discussed, that is infectious cheerfulness. It means spreading happiness. For example, Ratna has the ability to spread happiness to her colleagues in her office. Have you got the meaning clear? Right. Moving back, although it was repetitive and dull, Ratna continued the same work with a cheerful smile. Besides, Ratna did one more thing. She used to sit with a different person during the lunch hour and listen to them with great patience. When someone asked what they talked about, she would say, "They share their troubles with me. I only listen." But Sudhamurthy was young and incredulous at her simplistic outlook, in the sense that she was doubtful of Ratna's view. What was that? That is, a mere listening can solve the troubles of her colleagues. Nevertheless, Ratna had an answer to that question. She replied that she was not a trained counselor or an intellectual, but she really knew well that mere listening could solve the troubles of many people. Here I am going to give a summary of the paragraphs in Malayalam. എൻ്റെ ഗ്രാമത്തിലെ ഹൊറഗല്ലുവിനെ ഓർമ്മിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സംഭവം ജീവിതത്തിൻ്റെ വേറൊരു ഘട്ടത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടായി. ബോംബെയിൽ എൻ്റെ സഹപ്രവർത്തകയായിരുന്ന രത്ന ഒരു സീനിയർ ക്ലർക്കായിരുന്നു. മധ്യവയസ്കയായ രത്ന പ്രസരിപ്പുള്ള സന്തുഷ്ടിയായ ഒരു സ്ത്രീയായിരുന്നു. കഴിഞ്ഞ 25 വർഷമായി ബിരുദ പഠനത്തിന് ശേഷം അവർ ഈ കമ്പനിയിൽ ജോലി ചെയ്തു വരികയാണ്. അവർ എപ്പോഴും സന്തോഷവതിയായിട്ടാണ് ജോലി ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. എല്ലാ ദിവസവും ഉച്ചയൂണിൻ്റെ സമയത്ത് തൻ്റെ സഹപ്രവർത്തകരായ സ്ത്രീകളുടെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ അവരോടൊപ്പം ഇരുന്ന് ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുമായിരുന്നു രത്ന. എന്താണ് അവർ എന്നും സംസാരിക്കുന്നതെന്ന് ഞാൻ അത്ഭുതപ്പെടുമായിരുന്നു. ഒരു ദിവസം ഞാൻ അവരോട് ചോദിച്ചു, എന്താണ് അവർ സംസാരിക്കുന്നതെന്ന്. രത്ന മറുപടി പറഞ്ഞു, സഹപ്രവർത്തകർ അവരുടെ വിഷമങ്ങൾ പങ്കുവെക്കുകയാണെന്ന്. ഞാൻ അന്ന് ചെറുപ്പമായിരുന്നു. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ എനിക്ക് ഒരു സംശയം. ആൾക്കാരുടെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളെപ്പറ്റി കേട്ടാൽ മാത്രം അവർക്ക് എങ്ങനെ അതിന് പരിഹാരമുണ്ടാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുമെന്ന്. പരിശീലനം ലഭിച്ച ഒരു കൗൺസിലറോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ബുദ്ധിജീവിയോ അല്ലെന്ന് രത്ന പറഞ്ഞു. നിങ്ങൾ വിചാരിച്ചെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ നിങ്ങളുടെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾക്ക് പരിഹാരമാവൂ എന്നും രത്ന കൂട്ടിച്ചേർക്കുന്നു. Well, that concludes my presentation today. See you in the next class.